Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Basili, your orthopedics faculty with Marrow, and it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Mehmood, who is with us today, and he has secured a score of 253 in the FMG exam July this year, and this was his first attempt. Congratulations, Dr. Mehmood.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I mean, this is such a wonderful score for a person who has got it in its first attempt. And I was just talking to you, and I've realized that he owes all of this. He owes this success and this amazing score to his ability to revise aggressively again and again, and doing the same monotonous, boring things again and again, because he believes कि पढ़ाई तो कितना भी कर लो और कहाँ से भी कर लो यार, अगर if you cannot revise, you're not able to clear this exam. So with that beginning, I want to start and understand, see, when did you start solving the Marrow question banks? And you said that you started with previous year questions. So can you tell us what was your first introduction to the Marrow question bank and previous year questions?
For me, I started with the basics because they were quite weak. So I started with anatomy first, and the explanations. Like whenever I used to do questions, if I got it wrong, let's say, then I'll read the explanations. But even if I get the PYQs right, even then I'll read the explanations because it will help me retain a bit longer. So I used to do both, and then I'll do subject by subject, each subject, all 19 subjects first for the PYQs.
Right. So you were saying that you started your MCQ journey with previous year questions, right? So the first thing that you started doing or solving were the previous year questions.
Yes.
Right. So in these previous year questions, so what was your strategy like? Did you solve the previous year questions year wise, say like 2024, 2023, or did you stick to doing it subject wise, say anatomy and doing 2024, 2023, and 2022? What was your approach to previous year questions?
Whatever subject I was studying at that time, I'll take that subject. Then for
Mhm.
that subject, I'll go year wise every single year. For example, 2024 first, then 2023, then 2022, like that. For then
Perfect.
the same for the next subject.
Okay, so when you would go from 2024 to 2023 to 2022, there is obviously a huge recall, right? Because you will notice that there are a lot of overlap topics every year, a lot of
Yeah,
frequently asked topics.
like this will actually help you know which topics are actually that important. So it's good for you rather than just relying on other things. This will help you understand by yourself what
So you are
topics are.
basically hitting the areas that were being tested again and again with this strategy.
Yes, yes.
Well, wonderful. So once you would finish a subject, and how many years would you go for that particular subject?
I'll try to go for 5 years.
Mhm.
That's my maximum.
All right. So
Like
maximum
for
5 years. Let's not waste time beyond that because a lot of things have changed. So after doing those 5 years for that particular subject, say let's say in this discussion anatomy, then you would want move on to the next subject,
yeah, I'll
right?
go on
So
to
when
the
you
next.
would yeah, next subject, perfect. So now in terms of previous year questions, did you stick to FMG exam questions or just NEET PG questions, or did you do all of the previous year questions?
I went till NEET PG also because I've heard like NEET PG repeats a bit. So like I went to NEET PG question bank also for the last 3 years.
Right.
Same way.
So FMG 5 years, NEET PG 3 years. What about INI
Yeah.
set?
INS I also did for like 3 years.
Right.
Past
So
3 years for the
can you in your experience tell us, Ki, I mean, was there a lot of similarity between topics of NEET PG, INI set, and FMG exams previously asked?
INS set I won't say there is that much similarity, but if you look at FMG, from what I could observe was that increasingly it's becoming much more clinical. It's
Mhm.
becoming a lot like how NEET PG questions are. That's why I think solving NEET PG questions were quite helpful for me because it's a lot
Perfect.
clinical.
Perfect. But so you would say in your experience, NEET PG and FMG MCQs had a lot of similarity. Now I
Yeah.
want to come
Now,
back to the explanations. I want to come back to the explanations of these previously asked questions, because question is one thing, knowing the answer is another thing. But understanding why the other options are not the right answers and what are the related information that you should know about those questions, you will find that in explanation. So can you tell us about your experience of these explanations of the previously asked questions in Marrow Question Bank?
the explanations were wonderful. Like all you need is present in that explanation itself in the question bank. Sorry, in the PYQs and the question banks. It's all there. You read your answer as well as the ones that you have done wrong. Everything you read, it will help you retain more. And yeah, it quite helped me a lot.
So I'm assuming it gave you the confidence of why you should choose this option over the others, which is an essential exam
Yeah,
skill.
definitely. It gave me the confidence of doing so.
Because a lot of students I notice now, Mehmood, they come out and they say, "Sir, I've seen two options and this look so similar and they're close to each other." And doing this, understanding why one option can be ruled out, gives you the confidence to do that on the exam.
Definitely.
I
I
mean, what was there in the explanations of these questions that gave you that confidence, Mehmood?
How do you say, like, for example, if you read the explanations, you will have an idea why, like, if there might be something missed that you have missed in the question, and then you were like, okay, this is the answer, but you couldn't figure it out unless you read the explanations, and which are clearly, like, it will clearly help you understand why this one, the one you chose, was not the correct answer. So
And
it
you
really
found
helps.
that was an essential crux of the question bank explanations in Marrow app.
Definitely, rather than solving the question, the rationalization is what helped me a lot.
Absolutely. So now you have solved the previous year questions of the subject in question, and you have
Yeah.
done that for all the subjects. And what about the question bank? I'm not talking specifically about the previous year questions. I'm talking about the general question bank of all the subjects that are there. What was your approach to solving those questions in the uh, Marrow app?
Like when I was finished with the PYQs, then I started the question banks. The same way I approached PYQs, I did that like for one subject at a time. I'll try to solve as much as I can. For shorter subjects, I was able to finish almost all question banks, but for major subjects, I was not able. But yeah, my main motto was to do it like this: do it subject wise, solve as much as I can per day, every day. Yeah,
Right. So now I have two questions, Mahmood. Help me understand this. First question is, there are two question banks, right? There is an FMG question bank and there is a NEET PG question bank.
yeah.
What was your go-to question bank?
So what I used to do is, let's say if I have 2 hours, so what I will do is for 1 hour I'll solve FMG, then for the next hour I'll solve NEET PG. That's what I used to do.
Right. So what was the logic behind this? Did you find them similar? Did you find them different? Or did you learn something extra in the NEET PG?
Yeah, definitely. You learn something extra in the NEET PG. Like there might be something that you've missed out in the FMG question bank that will be present in the NEET PG one. Because, like I said before, that they're becoming quite similar. So it will be helpful for you to understand the kind of questions they will ask.
Perfect. So you solved both the NEET PG and the FMG question bank, and like you
Yeah,
said, you did almost all of it for the short subjects, but for major subjects, you had to do as much as possible,
yeah.
which is obviously not
That,
complete, but as much as possible. Now, what made you decide these are the topics I have to touch in the major subjects? Because if you look at major subjects, yeah, there are so many modules, right? So what made you decide I have to pick these modules and these are the modules I will let go? Was it just chronology of those modules, or because you have done the previous year questions previously, you knew what were the important topics to focus on?
I'll say, like when you solve the PYQ, you will have a very good idea about what topics are important. So that's how I went with it. Like I did PYQs, and that's how I know which topics are important. So I focused on them.
I think that just summarizes the very smart approach of utilizing the Marrow question bank, which I think most of the students will miss. See, you see, there is a volume of information, A to Z. There's so much information. A smart person is a person who will, you know, allocate time to the most valuable topics. And where will you know what those valuable topics are? You will know it from the previous year questions. And that is what Mahmood has done so wonderfully well. He first did the previous year question. He did them in an order, revise, understood ki bhai ye topic bahut important hai. And every year, questions are being asked from these topics and they become a part of his subconscious. When he went to the question bank uh, to solve the modules of the whole topic and subject, he realized ki, these are the topics that are frequently asked. So let me do this first, and the others were left because obviously time is limited and there is never enough time to finish everything. So Mehmood, now I want to bring your attention to the grant test. When did you start giving grant tests and what was your approach with grant tests?
For me, my main thing was at the starting, I'll give at least one GT for me. Even if I have to skip a day for a subject, I'll give one GT per month at
Okay.
the starting period. And then at the
Okay.
end, like for the last 3 months, I used to give two GTs as much as I can. If
So
it's not
after you've
possible,
done the
yeah,
GT, you would go through the explanation.
that is very much necessary. Like more rather than looking at your scores, it's better to look at the rationalization.
Right. Why this answer is correct and why this is wrong.
Oh,
So
because it
did
will
you
help you.
find time, but that was enough to do all of this?
For me, my thing was like, if I do it like I'm currently doing it in the morning, you wake up in the morning, you do it in the morning, and then the evening you rationalize. You take your
Okay.
gap in between, you watch movie or something, but then in the evening I'll rationalize always.
Right. Now, after giving this FMG exam, which obviously was your first attempt giving it, I mean, how would you rate the quality of questions that you found in the Marrow Grand Test and the actual FMG exam?
I will say it did prepare me for the kind of questions they will be asking, because it's a bit clinically oriented now, both of them. So it did really prepare me for the kind of question that I should be expecting from FMG.
Right. Perfect. So you would say that they were quite similar. So that is the reason it felt
Yes, yes,
comfortable.
yeah. I was very comfortable while giving the exam.
Now, since you have been reading so much information in this question bank and rationalizing and understand the concepts, how would you go about using the bookmarks for your revision of these questions?
Rather than, like I said, when you give the GT, it will help you out even with the rationalization, even with the repetition. So if there is something that when you read and you know that this is what you're very, like whenever I felt like this is what I'm very weak in, I'll write it somewhere and try to revise it as close to the exam as I can, rather than wasting time on it. That's what I used to do.
Perfect, perfect. So you wrote it somewhere. So you had a grand test book or something like an
Yeah,
extra additional book copy.
yeah. So
Perfect.
if something feels like it's taking too much time, I'll just write it down there and then just revise as close to the exam as possible.
Wonderful. I mean, your approach looks very practical, very target oriented, not wasting any time. You are very focused key, I am studying because I want a good score. And to get a score, I need to focus on these areas. Wonderful. Now, before I close this, Dr. Mehmood, I want to know, I want you to basically take the platform and tell someone, and I will tell you what kind of student I want you to talk to. Say, imagine a student, right? He has been preparing for this exam from multiple resources, from any other platform, or doing something, or reading good books and standard books, but now he's decided to use the Marrow question bank, right? He has Marrow question bank because it is the standard of questions that is asked. He has Marrow question bank. What are the suggestions that you have to give him to effectively utilize Marrow question bank to clear this exam?
The biggest thing I will say is know your weak subjects. Write them down on a piece of paper, know what your weak subjects are, know what your strong subjects are, and try to start with your weak subjects. And if you feel like you cannot really do it, go for strong subjects, so that you have a good motivation that yes, I can do it. After that, you start with the weaker subjects. You start whatever subjects you are doing. Let's say you give it like 6 hours per day. Give every day 2 hours to solve questions. Every day you should be doing this, because more than anything, questions bank will help you understand which one is important. It will help you with the revision. It will also help you understand why this is wrong. So from one question you can understand four different topics. You don't have to read four different topics separately. You'll be able to understand four topics from one question itself. So it's best, go subject wise, know your weaker points, know your stronger points, start with the PYQs, understand what's important, then go for question bank, write down things that you think like you will forget. For me, the thing was developmental milestones. Pediatrics, developmental milestones, I will always forget. So rather than wasting time on it, I wrote it on a piece of paper and revised it as close to the exam as I can. Like I revised it on the last day itself. This will help out. This will save
No,
a
no,
lot
you
of your
said
time.
identify your weak subjects and identify your strong
Yes.
subjects. How did you identify your weak subjects? Obviously, you must have identified them by solving questions and realizing that
Yes.
you were unable to answer them.
Yeah, exactly. When you solve the previous PYQs, you will know which subjects are your weak points and which subjects are your strong points. You can give it a month to understand, because sometimes what you feel that is strong for you was not actually strong when you solve the PYQs. So that's why solving PYQs is very much important. Looking at the rationalization is very important, and revision is very important. Know your weak, know your strong, work on them, and do it strategically.
Right. And that strategy is what we are so impressed by, Dr. Mahmood. Your strategy of doing the previous year questions head on first is what gave you the edge and advantage of understanding what are the important areas to focus on. And if you don't know them, even if you know the whole subject, but you don't know those important areas, then it becomes your weak subject, which you need to work on to improve. And this improved your overall score, which is tremendous, 253. It's a wonderful,
Yes,
wonderful
yes.
achievement, Dr. Mahmood. And it is so insightful listening to all of this guidance that you have given to clear this exam with an approach that is very unique to your exam, which you have done through the question bank. It was so nice talking to you, Dr. Mahmood. I wish you all the best, and I wish all the people listening to this and watching this understand how to properly utilize the previous year questions and question bank on the Marrow platform, not only for learning or reading, but also identifying their weak areas and strong areas and revising before the exam. Thank you, Dr. Mehmood. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.